The Tracy Beaker franchise is not what it seems. Even though the shows have gone for so long, there are still some things that don't add up. In this video, I will explain how the entirety of the dumping ground is set inside of a simulation. To begin, the timeline for Tracy Beaker Returns does not take place during the story of Tracy Beaker and my mum, Tracy Beaker. The last episode of Story of Tracy Beaker is set in 2007, whereas the first episode of Tracy Beaker Returns is set in 2010. In My Mum, Tracy Beaker, which is set in 2021, it is revealed that Tracy has a 10-year-old daughter named Jess. She's born in 2011. This makes zero sense, as at the time Tracy was working as a care worker at Elmtree House. How can she have had a child, considering this was never mentioned, and she had a relationship with Seth during series 2 and 3?
You're a star to me.
Thanks, Seth.
That's true.
Also, her daughter is never mentioned in the Dumping Ground series 6-episode Missing Presumed Single, where Tracy returns for Mike's wedding without her daughter. Alongside this, Jess's absent father Simon was never brought up. The character of Seth is never mentioned in My Mum, Tracy Beaker / The Beaker Girls. I think this means that the Tracy we see in Tracy Beaker Returns and the Dumping Ground is not the same as the Tracy from original show and the Beaker Girls. Talking of inconsistencies, Mike Milligan's family is not very coherent either. In the Story of Tracy Beaker series 5-episode Moving On, he mentions how he lost contact with his father and met him 10 years later. However, in the Dumping Ground series 7-episode Reunion, Mike states that he had never met his parents despite supposedly spending his childhood with them until his father walked out. In addition to this, when Justine Littlewood comes back in Beaker Girls, she does not acknowledge or remember any of her major characters' development and maturity from the Tracy Beaker Returns series, 3-episode Justine Littlewood Returns.
I make good money. Your job changes lives. You doing okay, Beaker?
Yeah, and I saw you with her playing Happy Families on the beach. Just can't leave him alone, can you?
Sean called me and he invited himself.
It's true, I did.
Cheating pig.
It's almost like her character just continues on from the original show. But why are these characters all different in these shows? Okay, so if these people are truly different, then who are the characters we see in Tracy Beaker Returns and the Dumping Ground? In the series 3-episode Shadows, we learn that Tracy has hidden a map to find a treasure she buried at Elmtree House when she lived there. But when we look at Elmtree House in Story of Tracy Beaker, the building is clearly different, which she tries to explain as the sink had quote-unquote moved.
Tracy, you lived here in olden times. Has the sink always been there?
I'm not old. And no, it used to be over there by the dresser.
Around 27 minutes into the episode, they watch a VHS tape showing Tracy from the series 2-episode Hollywood. This footage has been directly taken from the videotape and is displayed on their TV, which seems impossible because in the other episode she is seen binning this exact tape. So how can we see this tape in Elmtree House? We will revisit this point in a second. Now, we need to talk about the Dumping Ground series 6-episode Joyless Division. This episode is supposedly a harmless musical special, but it's not what it seems. The episode begins with all of the characters bursting into song. Already we can see Jodie and Tyler watching the CBBC channel on the TV. How could they do this, unless CBBC exists within the Dumping Ground? This isn't even the first time this happens, as we can see CBBC being watched numerous times across both shows. However, one of the shows that the characters will never watch is The Story of Tracy Beaker. Again, going back to the Shadows episode, we can see that the Story of Tracy Beaker does exist, so the channel exists but the show itself does not. Around 2 minutes into the episode, the Compliance and Anomalies department show up. Let's break this down. Compliance means that the residents are required to comply and follow orders from these people. And anomalies are strange occurrences that happen in the care home. What anomalies could have possibly happened in Ashdean Ridge? Well, if we go back a few episodes in the same series to Stuck, Sasha can be seen stuck inside some sort of time loop and cannot escape.
You're grounded. You're grounded.
Now, this is proven not to be a dream, and the same events of the loop continue into the next day when she actually wakes up. Sasha being stuck in the time loop was the anomaly, and the reason why the department arrives. The man in charge is called Stephen Red Pen. Red Pen, Red Pill. Seems familiar, huh? We see him always carrying a blue and red pen in his pocket, maybe being a reference to the Matrix. He gets everyone to do an experiment where the boys and girls are split into zones. However, Mike and Maylee seem to be okay with this and propose no questions. In fact, if this is an experiment for the residents, why are Mike and Maylee also joining in? Around 4 minutes into the episode, we can spot these strange patterns on Stephen's monitors. These patterns could be a visualized version of the simulation that he's looking into. We also constantly see him with a headset where he is communicating with an unknown individual.
Excellent outcome with subjects even policing themselves. Stage 1 satisfaction level much higher than anticipated.
These must be the higher-ups that he is informing. Further into the episode, he refers to Candy Rose as Subject 10F.
Subject 10F indicating unrest in both sectors, danger may sabotage progress, need to prevent further descent.
The residents are not given names, but rather IDs, almost like they're computer-generated. The plot progresses more when everyone rebels against Stephen and his experiment. Realising they have become sentient, he tries to split them up even more.
Due to the positive results, I'm instigating stage 2, making the trial a permanent arrangement.
You can't do that! You can't do that! That wasn't agreed!
In the morning, the girls will be moving to Greybridge, while the Greybridge boys will be coming here to Ashdean Ridge. My decision is final!
Another weird detail is that at 21 minutes in, when Charlie's filmed in slow motion, the actual show's camera can be seen inside of his monitor, and Stephen is watching everything. The show's cameras must be the viewpoints for the simulation. Talking about cameras, this also happens in the Series 4 episode They Walk Among Us. At the end of the episode, there is a drone shot set at night outside of Ashdean Ridge. Mo somehow spots the camera, which he thinks is a UFO or shooting star.
They're coming.
But a shooting star would fall rather than rise, and this object comes from the exact place that the drone shot was taken. Both Mo and Bailey do not understand what they see and never bring it up again. This is just one of the drone cameras for the simulation they happen to spot. Going back to Joyless Division, the episode ends with Candy Rose finding someone that Stephen used to know, called Judah, which somehow persuades him to stop the experiment and disobey his superiors, changing his mind about separating the residents. But who does he phone to inform this? After the events of this episode, the anomalies are temporarily fixed, which soft reboots the simulation. This is why the old residents such as Liam, Frank and T return in Mike's wedding episode, but also mainly Tracy Beaker herself. Okay, let's start with Tyler's mum. Now, she is clearly not the same person in the Dumping Ground Series 1 episode Seriously Funny when he looks at his file. But in Series 2 onwards, she is portrayed by a completely different person, which makes zero sense. In the series' 3 episodes Something Borrowed, Carmen is tested across 2 different timelines, where they eventually converge into one. This is similar to Sasha's time loop. In the Series 6 episode No Escaping, around 6 minutes in, Tyler and Jodie are looking at literal frames from Tracy Beaker Returns episodes. How could they possibly have these pictures? Also, this episode is set right after Joyless Division. Perhaps this is linked to the simulation being fixed. In the Series 7 episode Run the Risk, Tyler is seen talking to random clones of himself in computer monitors and photo frames. Is he crazy, or is this also part of the simulation glitching? Well, in the credits for this episode, we can see that the clones are indeed credited as different characters: Adventure and Doubt. This means these clones are not Tyler, but individual entities, further proving they exist as a result of the simulation. Jumping ahead to the Series 10 episode Bright Sparks, Ashdean Ridge burns down, but the reason for this is quite confusing. At 12 minutes in, the sun beams onto a glass ball where it sets on fire. But how could it do this if the blinds were closed? Almost as if this is done deliberately to reset the care home. Lastly, in the Series 12 episode Swapsies, Doreen and Shanice swap bodies. Yes, they literally swap bodies. In conclusion, Tracy Beaker Returns and The Dumping Ground take place in a different timeline to the original story of Tracy Beaker and my mum Tracy Beaker / the Beaker Girls. They actually take place in a simulated timeline that is loosely based on the original TV show. To guess, Maybe the simulation was created to entertain viewers, or was it made to create a basis for what a care home should be like? The simulation must be happening in the far future when technology can do this, but the actual simulation is set in the past. It begins to hallucinate and glitch towards its 8th year of running, hence why the events of Joyless Division occur and the Compliance and Anomalies department show up to fix it. However, this fix does not last for long, as episodes like Run the Risk and Swapsies show the simulation breaking down. So there we have it. The dumping ground was a simulation this whole time. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.